Hello, my name's Tim. Welcome to Tim Burbage Reads, and today I'm going to be doing a review for Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. This is my December mystery book. This was gifted by my sister-in-law, Anna, saying push you out of your comfort zone, hope it's better than Fourth Wing. That's what she says inside. So this is a popular book, translated, and I'm just going to read the blurb for you. In a small back alley in Tokyo, there is a cafe which has been serving carefully brewed coffee for more than 100 years. But this coffee shop offers its customers a unique experience, the chance to travel back in time. In Before the Coffee Gets Cold, we meet 4 visitors, each of whom is hoping to make use of the cafe's time-travelling offer in order to confront the lover who left them, receive a letter from their husband whose memory has begun to fade, see their sister one last time, and meet the daughter they never got the chance to know. But the journey into the past does not come without risks. Customers must sit in a particular seat, they cannot leave the cafe, and finally they must return to the present before the coffee gets cold. Toshikazu Kawaguchi's beautiful, moving story explores the age-old question, what would you change if you could travel back in time? More importantly, who would you want to meet, maybe for one last time? Yeah, first of all, there is no cat in the book. Major faux pas. There are clocks that have cat tails, like cat clocks. That is not a clock. That is a cat. I really, really enjoyed reading this one. It's very short, 200 odd pages, pretty big text, pretty easy to read. It was definitely written in a style that was quite different from other books I've read. I don't know if that's a translation thing, I don't know if that's just the author, but this style was quite difficult to get into at the start. You meet a character and the first thing is described in detail what they're wearing. And that happens to all the characters who you meet in the first 2-3 pages. Oh, in walks blah blah blah, this is how they're dressed. In walks blah blah blah, this is how they're dressed. It's quite punctual writing style. It's very to the point. This is what they do. This is what they do. Once you get used to the writing style, you go into it a bit more. You understand the rules of the cafe. This cafe, I think this is magical realism because it's basically the real world. But there's one thing in it that is magic: is that this coffee can teleport you through time. There are very particular rules. It's only this particular coffee in this particular restaurant. You actually cover at the start, it was a bit of a huge sensation when this was discovered and made really popular, and then people discovered all the different rules in place, and then it kind of faded away and it's just become just another cafe. This is set in Tokyo. All of the characters in this are Japanese. It does deal a lot with Japanese customs and traditions and how Japanese people communicate to each other, which I think is quite similar to British in that we don't actually say what we mean to say. And it's all inferred and not said. And I enjoyed reading that. And what I really enjoyed, where this book sings, is the questions that are put to the characters as they decide to go travel in time with this magical coffee. They go to a particular place, or it has to be in the cafe, but they go to a particular time and they know that there is a limit on what they can do. And it's what's important to them and what do they bring back with them from the time travel. Not a physical object, but how have they changed? And I really enjoyed reading it. Some of these parts were quite difficult to read. As you said, the first story is The Lovers, and it's about a couple, and the woman goes back in time to talk to her partner. That was a very happy story. The next one is Husband and Wife, where you realise that the husband has dementia, has Alzheimer's, and is forgetting his wife. And that was really hard to read. That was very emotional and showed a lot about the character and how they were going to approach it. The next is a woman who wants to talk to her sister, and that was very emotional, and that really dealt with the Japanese tradition of carrying on what your parents' legacy is, even if you don't want it. and the burden that can put on children. Yeah, that was a really good one. And then the last one was Mother and Child, which as a parent was very emotional to read. So in 200 pages, this really made me feel things. And it looked at the human condition and what you can do and what you can change. And I really enjoyed reading it. There are more in this series, and I would definitely be interested in reading more of these. They're very light, very easy. I read this in I think I read it in 4 sittings, because I read 1 chapter per sitting, one of the stories per sitting. They are basically independent short stories, though they take place in the same cafe, and you do see, because they're customers, you do see customers come in and out. So the customers in the second story appear in the first story, but as background characters. The customer in the first story appears in the 4th story as a background character. So you do see how they all fit together. One thing that was very strange was there was one scene. I'm not going to spoil it because it's not in the blurb, but there's another character who's in the cafe, and they have very peculiar interactions with the other patrons in the cafe. One thing happens, and they do something to one of the characters who want to travel in time. And it's very magical realism. It makes no sense in the real world, but it happens, and they all know it happens. And then that happens in the first chapter, and then in the 4th chapter, a different character tries to do the same thing, and the same thing happens, which you would get. I understand that. The weird thing is that it is described in exactly the same way. It felt word for word, and it was very strange to read that again, having only read it 150 pages before in a very short book. That was quite strange. And yeah, just the writing style was quite stilted at points. But overall, I really, really enjoyed this book, and I would be interested in reading more from this particular series, but more of this general strange literature. I'm much more interested in that. So I gave this 5 stars, and I really recommend it to everybody. I think everybody can take something out of it. I think that's about it. Please give this video a like. Please comment below if you've read it. And I'll see you in the next one. Now, get out of my house!